Primarily been in the area of naturalizing sense making, seeking to base social science research and practice in natural science. You know, it sounds just so interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Dave on stage. Dave, over to you.
Thank you. Okay, let's get started. Just to say up front, I think one of the problems with things like Booker, and there are many of them, is they're really good at getting into a state of despair about a situation, but they don't tell you what the hell to do about it. Right? And I actually, to some extent, dislike models that describe a situation in such a way that you don't know what to do, because I think they just put you into a bad place. So what I want to do today is talk about the Cynefin framework. I'm going to give you some of the context or the background on that. And I'm going to look at that in the context of how you actually engage everybody in the firm. This is called fractal management, if you want a new phrase. Self-similar at different levels. How you engage everybody in the firm in a process of engaged sense-making, which I define as how do you make sense of the world so that you can act in it. Right? Now with that comes a key concept of sufficiency. It's how do I know enough that I can act, which isn't the same thing as knowing everything I want to do. Right? And also going to argue for diversity of response, and I think that's another problem with things like the Booker framework. They basically assume there's one mode of response. And for the last 20 or 30 years, we've had what I call single ontology sense making, i.e. the assumption there's one type of system, therefore there's one type of solution. And that's brought about a series of management fads. Yeah, so we started off, and I did a lot of work with Peter Drucker while he was alive, and I actually think we lost a lot when we got rid of scientific management. A lot of people into complexity and negative on it. I think they're wrong. Because scientific management respected the need for human judgment. What happened in the 80s is people got so obsessed with technology and engineering, they actually assumed they could get rid of it. So we start with business process re-engineering, Hammer and Norton. Page 2 of the book, nothing that has happened in the past has any relevance to the future. Which is a level of ignorance you really would hope that academics didn't have, but that's what it says. That's now manifested in the modern age as something that's called Six Sigma, if anybody's come across that, which I fondly call Six Stigma. Business process re-engineering with the worst aspects of American Bible Belt fundamentalism added onto it for good measure. It's a cult, and the high priests of the cult get different coloured belts according to their cult status. If they get a black belt, they're exempt from doing any real work because their job, like a high priest, is now to enforce cult status on everybody does. Right? If you don't